fucking archetype of a white man, or not white man, white people in general, where they go, this is real music, and they're pointing to a white person doing black music, like rock or jazz or whatever, and they're like, this is real music. I saw this the fucking other night, literally, because I saw this amazing clip of Tom Jones performing with Little Richard, and I didn't know he was fucking Welsh.
Oh,
Tom Jones is fucking Welsh, like has an accent and everything.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
And I'm
trying to parse it out in his singing.
Yeah,
like,
it's
not unusual.
I went in the comments section. And it's literally all European white people, and they're obviously praising him, but there's like this one person who is just like, oh, something. This is real music, not like that Beyonce trash. And then I literally hit like to see the accordion of like the replies, because I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna tear this person apart, and it was literally just all white people agreeing with like and everyone liking all the comments.
Yeah,
and I was just like, what world do y'all live in now? Like how removed culturally and from reality do you have to be to make that comment? And then it's just mind blowing.
Well, to still think
there was one person who went, oh, well, she's at least a real performer. I was
about
like,
Beyonce?
Yeah. And I'm like, this is so this is
fucked.
It's so back and forth. But it's like that's why when the Elvis shit came out, I was just like, no, please take it back.
Mm-hmm.
Like take it back into the kitchen. Like, this is the last thing. This is the last thing white people need right now. Like this is the last thing they need.
That's just so funny to me. The notion of somebody still thinking that's up for debate. Like nobody's even arguing about Beyonce's abilities.
Most people are just dumb. They don't have these insights. Literally, they're stupid.
Yeah, it's multi-layered, right? Not knowing that your favorite white musicians in this context were doing black music and not even understanding it as black music. You know, the whole thing. It's just music, man. It's just music. It's like that, and then there's just a subconscious like racism. Like your brain is like just trying to make this connection of like black, low quality, hip hop.
Degenerates.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
It's like those two things, and
I would rather listen to the white pedophiles that I grew up with than this degenerate booty shaking music.
Right.
The music we stole from the Negroes was so good until the blacks got their hands on it.
Until the blacks got it back.
When we added like J.R.R. Tolkien vibes to it and made Led Zeppelin, that's when I got into it.
Led Zeppelin is wild, man, because they were just literally just doing black artist songs. Like they were just doing them.
Yeah,
you know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
They were also keeping teenagers locked up in a basement dungeon, so you got to give them some credit. You know, they were
really
fucking Jimmy Page, I think, had like a
they were
girl
were pedophiles. Yeah,
just a band of Griffiths.
I don't know enough about them, but I'd be curious to see what the DNA of their music is specifically.
I'll find the one
because I do love their music, but you know, I'm not an idiot. I know reality.
I've enjoyed their music, and then just looking into it, you're just like, oh.
There's a whole Rolling Stone article from 2016, and it's called Led Zeppelin's 10 Boldest Ripoffs. It's
no way.
Wow.
Oh, let's see if it loads up. Hold on.
Speaking of Rolling Stones.
I had the realization yesterday, and I was like,
come on.
I was listening to some White Stripes, and I was thinking about Jack White, and I was like, what did I really get in the White Stripes? And it's like, oh, probably when I like in college rewatched that documentary with him, Jimmy Page, and The Edge, and I had the realization, like, oh, that was just 3 white guitarists, rock guitarists.
Yeah,
and I was like, I didn't even give that a second thought when I first saw it. That
you know, what's really funny,
like they were paying homage to black artists, but.
You know what's funny is I would argue the Edge is the one with the least influence from black artists, and he's also just not a good guitarist.
He's boring.
He's a sound engineer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and it's like you watch that documentary and the Edge is just kind of like cool. Two guys who love the guitar, and I
turn
I'm
this
the Edge.
knob, and then it sounds like I'm playing a lot of notes when I'm playing one note.
Yeah. And he's like trying to show Jimmy Page and Jack White how he does his stuff.
Let me read this. I couldn't, for whatever reason, the Rolling Stone article wouldn't load, but this I'm in another like Far Out magazine. They have a list. There's like plenty of lists, and they have one for a song called "Whole Lotta Love."
That was the first song in my head. I don't know why.
They go, if there's one man who can be called the fifth member of Led Zeppelin, then it is probably Willie Dixon, an iconic bluesman in his own right. Many of Dixon's songs were lifted and implanted into Led Zeppelin's canon, while Page is usually the man to lean on Dixon. In the case of Whole Lotta Love, Robert Plant borrowed lyrics from You Need Love, a Dixon contribution made famous by Muddy Waters in 1962. I'll also add, my dad is a blues person, so I grew up listening to Muddy Waters and all of this stuff. So it's like an extra like... I still to this day haven't done like a Led Zeppelin dive like in terms of their music or discog. Right. All I've seen is them just ripping other people's stuff. But let me get to this last. Plant later recalled, I wish I knew what he spoke like. I just thought, well, what am I going to sing? That was it. A Nick, now happily paid for. At the time, there was a lot of conversation about what to do. It was decided that it was so far away in time and influence that, well, you only get caught when you're successful. That's the game.
Cool.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Though.
Cool.
Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just like tripping over just the cultural aspects of that.
It's a songwriting credit you're missing.
But just like the racial dimensions of you saying that.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Oh, just take it. Just take it. We've been doing that for centuries. Just, what's a song gonna hurt? You know, it's like.
Right.
What's a song on the pile of things?
Yeah,
they'll be
there's
happy
like
to see
so
that song
many.
is popular now because a white man sang it.
That's not the one that I'm thinking of. I'm gonna see if I can try. It might be that. It might be that. Yeah, that might actually be it. Hold on.
This is all news.
Those
to
are two
me.
songs that
I thought they were original geniuses.
I love Led Zeppelin, but they're also just as musicians, but they're just like stolen.
Yeah.
Immense amount of music.
So what
from black artists.
So what you do? You take a black person's song and then you add a weird time signature, and then it's your song.
Okay.
Now
and I can do just any song. I can do this.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And I make money still, right?
You
I
make
don't
money.
have to pay them.
Take Manish Boy. Take Manish Boy. That song. Now it's in 7/8.
Oh.
Look at that.
Okay.
Look at that.
All right. I see the play.
Dazed and Confused looks like it was. Is this stolen from a white dude?
I don't know. I just know that one's definitely stolen, and so is the Day I'm Gonna Leave You.
Jake Holmes.
J. Cole covered it.
Yeah.
It's really. I feel like it's so interesting also when you consider that like everybody was doing covers back then. That was such an era of just like everybody does covers.
Yeah.
Everybody like so
Hendrix
the Beatles started doing covers. Hendrix covered Bob Dylan. It's amazing to like manage to be so egregious about it that everybody just unanimously is like, oh yeah, they stole that.
Mm-hmm.
Like to manage
top 10 biggest ripoffs. There's a Watch Mojo top 10 biggest ripoffs.
There's a Reddit post on r/Led Zeppelin from 7 years ago, and the title is it true that Led Zeppelin stole from black artists?
It's always a question they know the answer to.
I've often heard that Led Zeppelin stole from black/African American musicians. Is this true?
That feels like more of a Quora question.
It's always questions they know the answers to. Like I looked up because a kid from Stranger Things was caught wearing a Lynyrd Skynyrd shirt and it had the Confederate flag on it, and I had this brain blast like, oh, that's right, Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Yeah.
And I looked up like Lynyrd Skynyrd racist, and the first thing was like a Reddit post like, Lynyrd Skynyrd's not still racist, right?
Still.
Yeah, they don't still fuck with the Confederate flag, right?
They stopped, right?
And then that led me down a wormhole where I was like, oh yeah, on Sweet Home Alabama, they say I hope Neil Young will remember a Southern man don't need him around anyhow, or something like that. And it's because Neil Young made a song about anti-racism that they didn't like.
Wow.
About the South, and it was called Alabama Man, but they took that personally, so they dissed him. They subbed him.
And I took that personally.
I think I found the song I was thinking of. It's the Lemon song.
Oh,
Howlin',
yeah. I know that
it's
one,
biting
yeah.
off of Howlin' Wolf, Killing Floor.
Oh, okay.
They took from
I don't know that
They took from
song,
Lead
but-
Belly too, and then I don't know this one, but I'm seeing their song Rock and Roll, which is a take from Little Richard's Keep a Knockin'.
That would make sense. That's a
yeah.
great song.
Yeah.
Anything with Little Richard though, like Little Richard, for those who aren't aware, is the father of like rock and roll. Just like,
Yeah.
and obviously he was inspired by gospel musicians and artists and and women in particular. But damn, I lost my train of thought.
Little Richard, Father.
Oh
Rock
yeah,
and Roll.
no. I was gonna make the point that when he was blowing up, you know, there would be white musicians that would literally just go out and perform his songs and do tours, just basically imitating him.
Wow.
Right.
And like he literally lost money and opportunities because of it. There's also a connection to two things actually, like culturally, like looking at and like how we perceive innovations or whatever in the scope of time, and then what's his name from Led Zeppelin said of like, oh, it was so, you know, it was so
far in the past.
Yeah, it was so far back
Yeah.
that it's just like, whatever, fuck
Which it had to have been what, 20
no,
years?
yeah, it literally was
It's ancient history.
right?
I was only 14 when that came out.
Right, and like this is, but on those points, it's like this is how you can like there are like some white kids you could go to and be like, yeah, you know, like deathcore metal like can be tied to Little Richard and Mahalia Jackson, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know about rock and roll.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't know anything about this history. It's like it becomes that divorced and that removed. I think about that in terms of like even rap music and hip hop. It's like you have these kids that don't even realize that the way that they're rapping comes from like Bone Thugs and Harmony or like from whatever. They can't actually make that cultural and like historical connection. And it's like in that sort of thing that black artists and contributions like get erased, especially when we're talking about when there's lots of money involved in the major labels and entertainment system and whatnot. And
Major labels. Nice to meet you.
Hey, small label. Nice to meet you.
But yeah, and it's like it's wild because if you you can listen to some of this music and immediately be like, oh yeah, like I see how we got here from there.
Yeah.
But when we're in a white supremacist country and
It all
system
came from gay sex.
All,
That is the
well, no, he's not
original
gay.
molecule.
Well, I will say
he's not gay no more. He's delivered.
I will say
Saved.
black gays specifically, like insane the contributions like culturally, and you could argue that rock music and countless subgenres underneath it stems from black gays and women.
Yeah.
And it's like it's frustrating because I feel like when you say something like that, because of this disconnect, it feels like you're being like hyperbolic or like you're trying to come up with a baity title for a BuzzFeed article or something.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's like, no, this is literally just I'm just stating a fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like so many people say that on Twitter constantly without really backing it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Way.
So yeah,
like,
that happens too. So it's like you feel like people are just like
That's why like I want like Ken Burns docs to be about other stuff. Like, do more. Like, someone needs to apply that journalistic depth to these topics.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's done jazz and stuff, but like, still, there's so many things that deserve this.
Yeah, I would love to see one just on the concept of genre, because I feel like that's a big part of it. Is like all these
how music journalism created genres and shit like that.
Yeah, and sort of like those distinctions breeding entire like cultural divides between race music versus country music.
That
like,
Reefer Madness. She goes off to those clubs and listens to race music.
Right. So that was Little Richard's era. It was like, that's race music.
Yeah,
you know,
like it's just so interesting when you get up to like
colored people. I hate that.
Don't just point to me when you do.
I hate that. No, because we're all colored. You know, it's like, why are we? Everything is centered around whiteness.
We're all crayons in one big box together.
Do you get what I'm saying though?
You know?
Do you understand what I'm saying though? It's like everything's centered against whiteness.
Yeah.
Right.
The colored, the race music, it's like we didn't fucking make race. You did.
You know it's wild.
Why are you calling our shit race music? Like we made the distinction.
You did that shit.
Yeah,
You know
like you're making it about race, man.
Stop
because
I'm the race car.
Because I'm existing.
Yo, what's funny as fuck to me is if I got the choice to make that distinction, why would I define myself as I'm colorless? you have color.
Yeah, that kind of sounds
that's
shitty to me.
Weird, man.
You know?
You're just like, look at me, I'm a blank slate.
I'm
the most regular.
I'm pure, not dirty.
There's nothing appealing to me.
Yeah, dude.